database for you. It's the big brother that you're afraid of. Get out of here. Multiple sources. The more sources you have, the better. Not sort of single search. Searching different. Well, actually, the company owns the software. Wide variety of actors. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department.
The lady that pointed out that the lady from ICP.
But he's not in the room. If there was never going to be a quorum, still listen to people because it's not a meeting. No, that's right. It's not. But that's not he means, can we take it as it's done? The answer is no. You're going to have to do it again. You're going to have to say now to the quorum. You know what? Our friends here aren't there. Although, to be fair, they suffered greatly. So why they show up? Perhaps they show up before they were told.
Davy's heart.
Well, the issue, and this is probably not the justice question, who has access to what? We keep our data. It doesn't mean that nobody gets access except through jailbreak. So when the feds want access to our data, they have to balance all. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. We're just waiting a couple of minutes for one other commissioner to arrive so that we have quorum.
No, but I'm not.
Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond our control, we do not have a quorum, but it looks like we will have a quorum around 9:30. So if you want to go to the restroom, go out and take a little break, come back at 9:30. Hopefully this quorum issue will be resolved. Thanks for your patience and understanding.
So I'm sure it's going to be very important though.
Meeting to order. Welcome to the June meeting of the Sheriff's Civilian Oversight Commission. I'd like to start with a minute or two of silence, as we do at every meeting. We've all traveled from near and far to get here in a hustle and bustle. Just take a moment, and I'm going to ring the bell. I'm also going to ring the bell if I need to get your attention. I replace the gavel with a bell so that it will be less imposing and more inviting. Commissioner Rubin will lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hoorah!
We'd like to approve the minutes of the May meeting. Everybody has had a chance to review it. Do I get a motion?
Yes, there's I move that we approve the minutes from May 21st.
Do I have a second? Second. Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. Minutes are adopted. Thank you. We're going to move to agenda item number 2, which are public comments. I want to suggest, and please ask for your cooperation because the meeting's been a little truncated this morning, that if your comments have anything to do with one of the agenda items that are coming forward, if you wouldn't mind just reserving your comments for those very specific agenda items. So now we will take some general comments and or anything that's not agendized, and it's open to the public. And Ingrid Williams will read the names. I also want to say if you wish to have your name included in the minutes, please let us know. Otherwise, we usually don't add names unless it's by request.
Our first speaker, Raul Rodriguez Jr., followed by Greg Abrahamian, followed by Greg Allen. I believe the first couple of speakers are outside. Yeah. Should we move forward or?
Can we move to and recall them?
Greg Abrahamian?
Hi, I wanted to speak today in support of ICE in our county jails and in support of keeping ICE in our county jails. As our new sheriff, he's removed the ICE presence in our county jails to protect the illegal alien population in our jails, and this is wrong. Many people don't know what Sheriff Villanueva has done, but he's made a list of 50 or so crimes that they will protect these criminals who have committed these crimes from ICE, and this is wrong. Most people don't know this, and I'm going to just read a brief list of 12 of these crimes. If an illegal alien commits bribery, carries a loaded firearm within a state capitol, is arrested for and incarcerated for driving under the influence, assault on the president or vice president, looting, possession of a forged driver's license or state ID, mortgage fraud, vandalism, escape from prison, threatening a juror, intent to cause a riot, and possession of an assault weapon. These are all crimes that our sheriff is protecting illegal aliens in our prisons so that they will not be held accountable to the federal law enforcement, which is ICE. And this is wrong. So we want these illegal aliens who have committed these 50 crimes to be reported to ICE. This is very important to citizens. This protects the general population, all members of the general population, whether you're here illegally or legally. All members of the public are affected by these crimes, and they should not be protected. So we want the 50 SB 54 misdemeanor crimes that were removed by Sheriff Villanueva to be returned as reportable offenses to ICE. And if you would give him that message, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I'm going to do it now. Thank you so much. We have 23 speakers for general comment, and we have a full agenda. So I'm going to have to reduce the 3 minutes to 2 minutes for each speaker. So thank you for your cooperation on that.
I understand you called my name.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Raul Rodriguez, and I am the California coordinator for America First Latinos. And I'd like to say that at the last meeting, I was very disappointed at the chairperson, Skiggins, for not controlling the situation that took place, where Mr. Thompson assaulted my friend John. And we were just talking to the officers. We are going to file a complaint because Mr. Thompson was out of order, out of control, and he had no business assaulting John Willis at all. Mr. Williams was in fact, everyone here, I believe, saw the incident when it occurred. And I think it's really important that something should have been done before he even walked off. He should have been, Ms. Giggins, you should have stopped him from going out here and assaulting my friend. Other than that, I'd like to say that I'm here because also I was assaulted on May the 19th by an individual, and the LA sheriff or the sheriff's department failed to do their work, their job of getting information of the individual who assaulted me. They got my information but didn't get his. I haven't heard from the police officers since then, and I will be probably contacting an attorney because I think it's wrong that they don't want to protect American citizens. They're okay with protecting outside individuals who are illegally in our country, but they don't want to protect American citizens. It's terrible that this is happening in America, in this wonderful country where we have the freedom to speak our minds and the freedom to exercise our First Amendment right. I want to thank you, and God bless America.
Hoorah.
Greg Allen.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, I would ask one of the staff to get information from Mr. Rodriguez if in fact as he alleges, the Sheriff's Department didn't act appropriately.
That's fine.
Craig Allen, followed by John Willis, followed by Robin Vitston.
Mr. Allen's unavailable right now. Ms. Giggins, I would like to denounce you for last month's meeting when you allowed Mr. Thompson to exit the dais and physically accost me. You made no movement to stop him, impede him, or take control of the situation whatsoever. I would like Mr. Thompson to step down because obviously he's not in control of his emotions. So you all expect us to believe that you're up here to keep the Sheriff's Department in check and not abuse the citizenry, but yet your members have no control of themselves whatsoever. So we would like to have a meeting with you personally to discuss these issues. And I expect Mr. Thompson to, number one, apologize to me for assaulting me. Number two, I expect him to step down. And I expect all of you to ask him to step down. Mr. Williams, God bless you. You're the only person that tried to do anything. And this lovely young woman to my right, I'd like to thank you for trying to intervene also. But you didn't do anything. Are you in control of this meeting or not? I would like you to also ring your little bell and give a moment of silence to the fallen officer that they just put to rest this week.
Next.
Next person.
Are we skipping Greg Allen?
Yeah, he's
sorry?
not in the room, so go to the next person.
Next person.
Robin Vitston, followed by Jonathan Taylor, followed by Royce Esters.
Robin is in there, getting interviewed by police.
Okay. Jonathan Taylor.
Next.
Good morning, Commission, and good morning, community family. My comments are very brief about the unfortunate killing of Ryan Twyman. First off, do know that the deputies were from the Century Station, and the Century Station, my last knowledge, is responsible for 25% of all the shootings of the Sheriff Department. 25% from one station, the Century Station. I will also let the Commission know that the death of Ryan means for that family no son, no brother, no grandson, no boyfriend, no father of those 3 small children, no uncle, no cousin. And for that community, it means no neighbor and no friend. But what I really more than that want to bring to your attention, I've searched and I can't find a county ordinance that makes it okay for the Sheriff Department to require people to give up their right to secure their property for the ease of the Sheriff Department. We were over there talking to the residents of that building, and the Sheriff Department is requiring the owner to block all the gates to that property open. And I would just simply like to suggest, if there is a county ordinance that requires property owners to unsecure their properties by blocking the gates open, that be enforced countywide, that every private residence that has a gate, that they be required to open that gate so the sheriffs can drive in and out however they please. If there is not a county ordinance that requires that the owners of that property be allowed and be told to close their gate and secure the property for the security and safety of their residents.
Royce Esters, followed by Adam Smith, followed by Pastor Q.
Good morning.
My name is Roy Sesters, president of the National Association for Equal Justice America. We're very concerned about officer-involved shootings under the color of law, violating the civil rights and perhaps a federal crime. It seems like to me it's a pattern of behavior of shooting African Americans. That's got to stop. By the way, all the riots were started because of police actions. We're very concerned about that. We're also concerned about the hiring practices that we don't see a lot of African Americans out here patrolling. But this type of things that you're doing here, it's almost allegedly a hate crime to keep shooting African Americans. Something's got to be done or something bad will start happening, okay? Thanks.
Adam Smith, followed by Pastor Q, followed by Ernest Moore.
Good morning. I don't make it out to this meeting very often because I spend my Tuesday mornings at the Los Angeles Police Commission. Because naturally every meeting that community is invited to come and speak at are all at the same time on Tuesday mornings. But I do want to, name that I feel bad for y'all that you have to listen to overt white supremacists and racists at the beginning of every meeting. And I would also say that kind of offended that you'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, but here, sitting in basically the center of the main Tongva village that came long before Los Angeles, that we don't do a land acknowledgement at the beginning of these meetings, yet you do a Pledge of Allegiance. But anyway, I wanted to come.
Love this country.
Cool. Adolf, it's my time. So I just wanted to, I'm not trying to make light of the fact that I'm just horrified by what happened to Ryan Twyman. I bring my kids to a lot of meetings and things, and I am fully aware that because of how they look and who I am and where I live, they're never going to be targeted like Ryan is, like Ryan's kids are going to be. This is a problem that's gone on forever, and I know that y'all don't have the subpoena power that we're working to get you all, but I hope that in the meantime, you'll all lift your voices to lift up the voices of those that are speaking for Ryan and, his kids, his girlfriend, his family, all the people that loved him, that didn't need to see him executed by the sheriff's department. Thanks.
Pastor Q, followed by Ernest Moore, followed by Audrey George.
Good morning. Jesus was with his disciples. There were about 12 of them, and he said, but now, he said, take your money, your traveler's bags, because before I told you not to take money, not to take a traveler's bag, and not to take a sword, but now I'm telling you, if you have clothes and you don't have sword, take your clothes, sell it, and purchase a sword. To that, one of his disciples said, Master, we have 2 swords. And he said, that is enough. There were 12 disciples and 2 swords, and Jesus said, that was enough. Suggesting to me that he's saying violence is the last resort, not the first option. In terms of immigration, when someone has paid their due to this society and has been punished, they should not be deported. A just society should never punish someone twice. In fact, in the biblical sense, there isn't even the same God folks claim they serve. God is more concerned with restitution than punishment. If you stole from somebody, there was a way in which you were to pay that person back. And once you paid them, you were not held responsible and you were not called a criminal or an illegal alien or whatever offensive term that folks want to call you. Look at Jesus. Look at Jesus. He didn't do any of what you see behind me. None of it. None of it. My brother served in this country and was deported for a crime. The country still owes him.
Ernest Moore, followed by Audrey George, followed by Rajay Branch.
Two minutes. That just destroys my whole presentation. My name is Ernest Moore. I am a former employee of LA County, DCFS, Child Protective Services. I'm also a licensed security professional. When I come to present here, I am presenting allegations of crimes that have been committed against me by LA County Sheriff deputies. I was at the hearing, the meeting that you had in Carson, where I testified about how Deputy in Department 11, Deputy G, has witnessed several crimes going on in the corruption in the courtroom, and will not take a police report and will not accept my citizen's arrest. Today, I'm here to present or to testify about what happened to me in the traffic court. Most of my complaints against the LA County sheriffs has to do with the courts. About a year and a half ago, I was stopped by two Hispanic cops, LAPD cops, for expired registration. They ended up arresting me, and when I tried to videotape it with my cell phone, one of the cops came over and grabbed my phone and threw it down in my car. When it came to court, I had done some research, and I had done a motion. I wanted to file a motion to preclude testimony of the police officers and sanctions. I had subpoenaed the district attorney to try to get a copy of the body cam video of the incident that happened with LAPD. I still haven't got it. And initially, the bailiff in the traffic court told me to leave, would not let me file my motion. When I came, now I went and talked to one of my professors that's a judge in the traffic court, and he said, well, they hear that kind of motion all the time. When I came to the hearing,
Audrey George, followed by Rajay Branch, followed by Stephanie Valencia.
Hi. If you agree that the work you do here is important, I plead with you to please find a way to change the date of your meetings. If you agree that this work is important, you must also agree that it's important for the public to attend police commission meetings, city hall meetings, board of supervisor meetings. We shouldn't be required to choose on Tuesday mornings which meetings to go to. I know also that it is part of, over and beyond possibly your duties to attend, as you did, the forum last night for Ryan Twyman, and I really appreciated seeing Commissioner Ocean and Commissioner Giggins there, and that you spoke. And I implore you to make sure that the sheriffs that murdered him get their due justice in this system and are fired and prosecuted. I wanted to talk about DHS, where when you go into the basement here now, the parking garage, there's like 20 or more spots reserved for DHS employees or staff. That's so wrong because we're trying to move them out. They're trying to detain people who have done their time, who have been released after doing their time. It is wrong for us to give space to them in these parking garages, in the jails, in the courthouses, anywhere. Please do your best to see that this practice ends, and do not welcome them and reserve 20 or more parking spots for them in public parking. Thank you.
Rajay Branch, followed by Stephanie Valencia, followed by Isaac Asbury.
I'm here to talk about the murder of Ryan Twyman on June 6th. My name is Rajay, and I'm from Black Lives Matter. I want to first start off by highlighting the number 34. What does it mean to empty 34 bullets at a man? Ryan's uncle, Uncle Mike, said yesterday, you wouldn't shoot at a dog 34 times. And while I'm looking at you all, I want you to know, everyone in this audience, I'm talking to you as well. To shoot at a father, someone's son, someone's partner, someone's entire world. We've seen the video. But I also want to let you all know that last night, your sheriffs followed Ryan's community, Ryan's cousins, his mother, his sisters, and they decided to give them the finger. They decided to pull them over, buck up at them, and give them tickets. So what does it mean to not only empty 34 bullets in a man, but then to continuously haunt and attack his family after? I'll tell you what it means. A lack of human decency, a lack of common sense, and a true lack of regard for Black lives. Like Adam said, we're usually at the police commission this morning, but we're here today, and we're not gonna go away. In the spirit of 16-year-old AJ Weber, whose family is here, who was killed in 2018 at 16. While I have 4 seconds left, I wanna also lift up the name of Waukesha Wilson, who was killed. And let you all know that in the spirit of Waukesha Wilson, in the spirit of AJ Weber, in the spirit of Ryan Twyman, we are not asking for justice like Pastor Q said yesterday. He said we are demanding for justice, and we are not going away until we see it.
Thank you. I would like to also ask the audience to please respect the speakers and not comment while they're speaking so that we can all really listen and hear what they have to say. Thank you.
Stephanie Valencia, followed by Isaac Asbury, followed by Ron Thau.
Hi, so I wanted to start by saying that 2 minutes is an insult. If you guys really want to hear and care about what the community has to say, you guys should allocate appropriate time to really hear what we need to say. But I'm here to talk about AJ Weber, who was killed last year on Super Bowl Sunday by the Sheriff's Department. It's also insulting that for some reason you guys have on the agenda the officer-involved shootings of the East LA Sheriff's Department, when the Century Station has so many continuous, even to this day, shootings where they not only shoot, they murder innocent, unarmed Black men. But yet they're not in the discussion today. Doesn't make any sense. But like I said, AJ Weber was murdered by Van Helsing from the Century Department last year. They never speak about this, and it's always insult how AJ was shot at 24 times. And I'm saying 24 because I was there that night. I counted the rounds I heard. I also counted the amount of time it took him to reload and continue to shoot. There was 2 officers there, but only 1 officer shot 24 rounds of a handgun, which he had to stop to reload to continue shooting. I don't understand why no one speaks about this. And again, I'm talking about what I witnessed that night because all the records have been sealed to us. Even though the investigation is over and this is supposed to be public record, every time we go in to request all the investigation reports, they're to this day blocked off for whatever reason. We just requested the reports again through Black Lives Matter, and again they've told we need an extension, we need this, and the extension has been passed, and guess what? Still nothing has been released to us. If everything is just and right, if you did everything you were supposed to do, why are you hiding all the evidence? Why are we not speaking of all this unjust? Like I said, 2 minutes is an insult. If you really care to hear what we have to say, give us the time we need.
Thank you. We have 19 speakers to go.
And we have them all day.
Thank you very much.
This is an insult.
Ron Dow.
Insult.
John
It
Weber.
shows you don't care.
So, my name is John Weber, Anthony Weber's dad. I want to address a couple of issues during my limited time here. One is this pamphlet that they give you for officer-involved shootings. It outlines 6 different facets of the investigation process. The pamphlet needs redone. Some of these processes that are listed in the investigation don't involve the civilians. They just involve internal stuff with the sheriff's department. This needs reworked. And every time one of these faucets is completed, we need to be notified. The people they finished the murder investigation, homicide finished the homicide investigation, never told us a thing. Over months, we got blindsided by that. Detective Biddle had already finished the investigation for months. Okay, there's 6 things listed here. A lot of these 4 of them are directly involved in the sheriff's office. Each one of these things need to be re-examined. And there needs to be some type of direct liaison to the victim's family so that they can keep track of the facets of the investigations. Also, the sheriff, when he was elected, before he was elected, said that he was going to stop the policy of the sheriff's department making press releases about ongoing cases that color the investigation in a negative light for the victim and the victim's family. Okay, they still do that. They're still doing that. They're still putting out information. It's my understanding that when you make a press release about an ongoing investigation, you must have some type of clearance from the district attorney's office. And I feel that when they make these releases without the permission from the DA's office, they're in violation of some type of law, federal law, county law. Okay, could someone talk to the sheriff about that? And that's it.
Thank you very much.
Isaac Asbury, followed by Ron Dow, followed by Gina Viola.
Good morning. I'm here again. I was hoping to see the sheriff. I've been to a couple of these meetings. I've yet to see the actual sheriff, the new sheriff. I want to submit some paperwork. We're aware of how many deputies involved, shootings have been involved in Century, but for some reason Century never provides the names of the officers consistently. So I want to add this as for your information to look at. Now, we already know who the gang members are within the sheriff's department, and I'm going to provide this list again, and we're missing like 187 names of deputies who've been involved in shootings from 2000 to now, and their names still have not coming up as to why. Some deputies have been involved, as I said before, 5 and 7 shootings. So we want to know the names. I'm coming down here for this public hearing so you can say, I put out the information, it was illegal to put it out there, but I'm quite sure the families are tired of coming up here, not able to get the information. So here's the information I'm going to submit. I'm going to wait a month for you to give me the 187 names for that document. We also have names of 1,057 officers who have been involved in shootings. We have their names, but we want to know what station they're located at. We're going to submit this as for you to look at. We represent the city of Compton. We still don't have a captain in the city of Compton, right? I came down here before and requested, let you know we don't have a captain and we still have homicide. So we submit this information for your review. I gave a list requesting the names. The sheriff said it took too long to do the documentation. And here's this list for your review. Thank you.
Ron Dow, followed by Gina Viola, followed by Jeremy White.
Madam Chair, just before the next speaker comes up, I was wondering if we can ask our staff to follow with Mr. Weber about his feedback that he just provided, given the work that we're doing on the Family Assistance Program. And the other request that I have is if we could follow up on, or if perhaps we can ask the OIG to follow up on the statements that were made about the Sentry Station. Frankly, I was not aware of the number of killings out of that station. If that's true, I think that that's alarming and that we should have an investigation. And so I would request some investigation into that station or into that allegation if that's true.
Yeah, I think we all agree. Thank you. We'll follow up on that.
Thank you. And we're scheduling a meeting individually with Mr. Weber.
Good morning. In April 2000, by a 3-1 vote, incompetent leadership in Compton disbanded the Compton Police Department and replaced it with the LA County Sheriff Department without referendum. This was the sole decision of one individual. Governing incompetence continues today, and while there is a legitimate focus on street repairs and potholes, there is no discussion by Compton officials about public safety in their city. There is no plan, there is no accountability, there is no clearly articulated approach. For the last 10 years through last year, there have been 329 homicides, including 54 from surrounding unincorporated areas. 131 have been brown people, 194 have been black, and 5 or 2% have been white. Of that number, of that total, there have been 28 suspects arrested, which represents 8% of the total murders. Since the sheriff is unable to take killers off the street and the city has no plan other than to continue to deploy the sheriff, we propose a solution similar to the one in place to solve the sad and unfortunate murder of Victor McElhaney. And the Times published this article about a month ago, Killers Are Still on the Loose. We propose that a reward of $75,000 be set for the 323 murders for which an arrest has not been made over the past 10 years. The cost might be possibly offset from within the LASD budget, and to some extent, maybe the city of Compton should also bear the burden of this unfortunate situation. That's our recommendation. Thank you.
Gina Viola, followed by Jeremy White, followed by Dante Ivory.
Morning. I'm going to do my best to remain calm, although it's very difficult. I'm here about the execution of Ryan Twyman. What are you people doing up here? What is your oversight responsibility? Almost 2 years ago, AJ Weber shot in the back several times. Year before that, Waukesha Wilson, 22 minutes of that video is still missing. You just withhold the information that shows what we already know. You have a huge problem. This department is executing people and then terrorizing those neighborhoods and those family members over and over again, sending messages to keep quiet, don't show up here. Well, we're here and we're demanding that you people start doing your jobs. I don't understand how you don't know that 25% of the killers come from Central. I don't understand how that's surprising to you this morning if this is your job to do oversight of this department that is murderous, terrorizing. I'm telling you what, I live in Hollywood, right? I'm a white soccer mom. This wasn't on my radar until AJ Weber, frankly. AJ Weber, I cried for days. I went to that town hall and I thought, why aren't there 5,000 people here? And I know the answer to that. It's because he's black. That's the answer to that. Well, guess what? I'm waking up my white neighbors. So we're going to start coming to these meetings too, because I'm an Angelino as well. And I want you to stop killing black, brown, and poor people. Stop criminalizing neighborhoods so that people are frightened of people of color. The reason people like me are frightened of people of color is because you over-police them and tell us to be frightened of them. Well, guess what? I'm far more comfortable in those neighborhoods than I am in my own anymore. What makes me frightened are the police and the sheriffs in this city that run around without regard for any human life at all.
Jeremy White, followed by Dante Ivory, followed by Paula Minor.
Hi, I was at the town hall last night. I wasn't aware of the harassment of the family until this morning. Wow, that is so shameful, but it's not new. It reminds me of the treatment that Ramsey Orza received after filming the death of Eric Garner in New York. He was threatened, harassed, followed. Eventually, they put him with some crime and put him in jail, and they tried to poison him in jail. So this is just the kind of treatment you would expect from the largest gang in Los Angeles. What you people are doing is creating trauma, specifically complex post-traumatic stress disorder, generational trauma, terrorizing neighborhoods, and then following up and continuing to terrorize after you murder with impunity. And you should be ashamed if you're a part of that system, and if you're part of the system that's supposed to hold them in check, you should be doing more. I saw you two at the town hall last night. I know that was appreciated. It's upsetting that not everybody was there, but at least there was some representation of this board. What this family is facing now is what many of these families are facing, which is no prosecution of this officer. They're walking around on paid administrative leave, most likely will be reinstated, deputies, sorry. And that's just like always the case. And I don't know how this is acceptable and how this has gone on for so long. But there needs to be justice for these families. And if it doesn't come from legislative, community-oriented things like this, then it's going to come in another way. And y'all aren't doing anything to stop that. You're just exacerbating and escalating. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
Dante Ivory, followed by Paula Minor, followed by Michelle Infante.
Good morning, everyone. How you doing? My name is Dante Ivory, and I just want to speak on behalf of Ryan's family. Whether he was shot 32, 34, or 37 times, it is unacceptable. It's stereotypical, because I'm pretty sure if he wasn't of black and brown color, it wouldn't happen. But I also want to speak to unfair treatment that I also received myself from the sheriffs and LAPD harassment. Some of my Black Lives Matters members also witnessed it themselves, how it was held in handcuffs for about 45 minutes to an hour for them running my name for a felony that I did not have. I already knew I didn't have a felony, and the lieutenant had to apologize to me, but the other officers wouldn't apologize to me at all. And it's something that I'm kind of going through on a continual basis, and it's not right to me for whatever reason. It happened again yesterday, and my stuff was ran. I'm already knowing that I don't have any felonies or anything like that. Something that needs to be done, or put in policies for the police to be quick to understand the situation that's happening and slow to grab their guns, because stuff like this shouldn't be going on, and the unfair treatment to the family as well shouldn't be going on. It's unacceptable. They don't deserve that. They already went through enough trauma and drama as it is. They don't need any more pain and suffering. Because now they have to worry about, okay, am I next? If I'm alone by myself? Something I worry about sometimes. Will I get beaten instead of putting in handcuffs? Because the last time I was put in handcuffs, the handcuffs put on me very tight to my wrist was bruised. And the officer, he said some things to me. And I said some things to him as well. But if I'm by myself, will something happen to me though?
Paula Minor, followed by Michelle Infante.
Just 1 second. I'd like to ask the Inspector General to please look into, there was a very peaceful meeting last night. Many of us were there at the town hall. If you would mind following up a little bit to see if indeed these allegations of harassment against the family, happened, and report back to us.
We'll inquire about that. Also, I have just recently provided some breakdowns of the shootings to the justice deputies at their request, and I'll forward those to Brian to distribute to you. The short version is, I don't have the total number, it's in the area of 20-some in the past two years, it's more than that. And of those, 3 of them were out of Century, so it's substantially less than 25% if you look at the past 2 years. This year there have been 3 shootings out of 10 out of Century, so it's a 30% this year, but the previous year there were none out of Century, I believe, with those stats, and I'll forward that to Brian.
Thank you.
AJ Weber was last year, that was out of Century, so obviously your numbers are incorrect. AJ Weber was out of Century.
Excuse me.
February.
Stop, cover up. Excuse me. Please let the speaker speak.
The speakers are incorrect. Speaking incorrect, that's not correct today. This is why we
Please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Paula Miner from Black Lives Matter. Before I talk about what happened to Ryan Twyman, I would just like to go on record and let you know that we've been monitoring and following officer-involved shootings in LA County and LA City. Our county, our city, since 2009, has the highest number of officer-involved murders of its citizens than any part of this nation. Higher than Chicago, higher than New York, higher than East St. Louis. So we are the most murderous county in the nation. I would also like to talk about the fact that we did have the forum, and I must reiterate that the sheriffs did follow and harass a 12-year-old girl walking with her 20-year-old male cousin last night after our forum. So when you check on it, make sure you have the details. It did occur. They texted us last night. We demand that this particular case receive an independent investigation. We do not trust the sheriff's investigation. We do not trust that the sheriff is going to really look and see what really happened. We already know from the information given to the media that there are some questionable policies that may have occurred, such as shooting into a moving car. We know the one sheriff who's been charged by DA Jackie Lacey was charged for shooting into a moving car, and you guys know that as well. So we want to make sure that this case is handled differently. We want to make sure that when an individual is shot 34 times, he is immobilized. There is no need to go back to your car and get a high-powered weapon to shoot again. That constitutes 2 shootings legally. So you really need to look into these things. I do not believe that the sheriff's investigation is going to be valid. And I shall say his name, Ryan Twyman.
Excuse me, ma'am. Yes. Ma'am, I'd like to get a member of my staff to talk to you about the incident that occurred afterward. Eric, if you could speak with her. Just want to get the details of the incident. Thank you.
Michelle Infante, followed by Kayla, followed by Zach Sherwin.
Good morning, Michelle Infante with Dignity and Power Now. The vile attempt that the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department did by putting out the narrative about Ryan Twyman, his background, but yet the officer and officers that were involved in his shooting and his murder, you don't bother to put out information about them. But you made sure that you made the attempt that you put out, the narrative about how bad he was, and yet his life is gone. Sometimes it's really hard to come up here and talk to the commission and the OIG's office and the Sheriff's Department. I thought that Quentin Thomas, I thought Tamiko Tyler, I thought that Juan Correa, I thought that John Horton, that one of those families who lost a loved one that was murdered by the Sheriff's Department, that it would start to make a difference with what was happening within your own department. It hasn't. The OIG's office put out their first quarter report for January through March, and just from January through March, there are 7 people who have lost their lives inside the jails. 4 of them in Mid Central Jail, and the other 3 at Twin Towers, and that's just for the first quarter. Obviously, we've had more murders since then. One of the things that's really important to me is I'm going to request that the commission do an ad hoc committee on solitary confinement and suicides, the correlation between the two. The Sheriff's Department, you should write a report. You're the one with that information. Why don't you start putting that information out? Let people know that people are dying inside. People that are very vulnerable and that are being put in solitary confinement are losing their lives, and the reason why they're losing their lives is because you're putting them in there and you're making them suffer with violence on top of violence. So I would request from this commission to please put up and ask for a ad hoc committee that does a report on the correlation between suicide rate and solitary confinement. Thank you.
We will follow up on that. Thank you.
Kayla, followed by Zach Sherwin, followed by Linda Myers.
Good morning. I was at the town hall last night, and I just this morning would like to raise up two families in particular. The family of A.J. Weber is still demanding answers, and that boy was 16 years old, and the amount, in both of these cases, the excessive use of these officers' weapons, emptying out a clip, reloading, and emptying out another clip, I think is the highest form of inhumanity that we can even see in our county. The fact that these sheriffs walk around with impunity, with a gun on their hip, and claim to be fearful of the civilians that they police. Why are they volunteering to police our communities if there's so much fear? How can you work from a place of efficiency or productivity if you are in such fear? And the fact of the video when we saw this officer there's so many policy issues in the murder of Ryan Twyman. And I'd like to uplift the demands that the family is asking for. One, we need to know who these officers are. How could the family who was harassed yesterday know that the officers that harassed them yesterday weren't the ones that shot their loved ones? I think we also need to look at what we deem in policy, because that officer opened a car door that he had no right opening, probably on a property he really had no right being on in the first place. They emptied a clip and then went for an assault rifle. I mean, I know you guys claim not to have all the power in the world, but your lack of ability to control your department allows for them to kill with impunity, and it's going to continue. Thank you.
Zach Sherwin, followed by Linda Myers, followed by Ellie.
Good morning. I want to echo some of the remarks that have already been made this morning at this podium. This is my first time at this meeting, and it is because I regularly attend the meetings of the LAPD, the Police Commission, on Tuesday mornings at this time. The fact that the meetings occur simultaneously it's difficult to understand why that would be. The fact that they're on a Tuesday morning at all, at a time that makes it more difficult for community members to join, is additionally baffling. But of course, the greatest problem is that we live with a law enforcement system that makes it necessary to come down and amplify the names of people who have been killed by law enforcement. It would be good not to have to come to these meetings at all. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case, because the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department is doing things like perpetrating the galling murder of Ryan Twyman. I watched that video and was horrified by what I saw. On every level, it's just an offense to basic human decency, to common sense standards of how people who are supposed to, on every level. It's if I had 2 hours, I couldn't begin to speak to all of it. Listen to what these families and community members are asking for. I don't have the most profound extent of what powers you do have, but appoint the commission, the independent one, because the Sheriff's Department's internal investigation is surely not something we can rely on to bring the kind of justice that's clearly called for here. Listen to the families and their demands, and with whatever power you can, act to do something. You are the people who are the face of this commission to rectify this atrocity that's documented in that blood-chilling video I saw. I'm sorry I have to be here today, and I stand with the family of Ryan Twyman.
Linda Myers, followed by Ellie, followed by Kim McGill.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Linda Myers. I'm a 60-year-old senior citizen from Castaic. I need a disability accommodation for more time. I was living in Castaic, California, minding my own business in a senior citizen complex. 3 deputies appeared at my door, lying to me. I refused to allow them inside. At this point, their supervisor came and told them to lie and say that I shot at them. I don't own a gun. At that point, the SWAT team came. They took up a position across the sidewalk and tried to take me out. When this didn't work, they used grenades and blew up my front door. The newspaper articles say they were not live grenades. I have a degree in administration of justice. I've studied forensic science. I've worked for the government. I've also studied and been trained and experienced in weapons, explosives, grenades, etc. They used live ammunition, live grenades, in an attempt to assassinate me. They had a hostage negotiator call me and tried to make me give up and admit to something I didn't do. When this failed, they blew up my front door, dragged me out, murdered my service animals. I am a disabled person. I was thrown into the back of an ambulance in handcuffs, then leather restraints. The deputy made the EMTs get out of the ambulance. The deputy then injected me with an unknown substance and said he found drugs in my system. Illegal drugs.
You know, thank you so much.
I don't use any kind of illegal drugs.
Can I suggest that
I tried to have this
our
case.
staff?
I tried to have this case investigated by Internal Affairs. They covered everything up.
Okay, will you
now
please?
I want this commission to do their job.
I'd like you to give the information to our staff, and we will follow up with you.
What's
Thank
your
you so
staff's
much.
name?
Right here, it's Ingrid and
Well, you come over here
Christine.
and talk to me.
Okay. Okay, we'll follow up with you. Thank you so much.
Yes, you do that.
Ellie, followed by Kim McGill, followed by Anthony Robles. Hi everybody, my name's Ellie. I'm with YJC, and I, like AJ Weber's family, I also had a loved one that was killed by law enforcement. My 14-year-old cousin was shot and killed in 2012 in Santa Ana. He was, again, 14 years old, and as he was shot by law enforcement, he started crawling away from them, where then they shot him 2 more times, again, as he was crawling away. So I just want to, have everybody acknowledge that these are people that were being killed. And I also want to, thank all of you all for pushing through the resolution to the Board of Supervisors for the Family Bill of Rights. As you all know, like, families of folks that were killed by law enforcement are often, like, mistreated. There's, lies in the media that are put out by law enforcement and by the media itself. And I also want to share a map of data that we have. We've been documenting use of force incidents in LA County, and the sheriffs are responsible for at least 305 of the 854. So from 2000 through 2017, there's been at least 854 people that were killed by law enforcement. And again, the sheriffs are responsible for at least 305 of those. So it's a very serious issue. So we just are here demanding justice for our loved ones and pushing for the implementation of a Family Bill of Rights. Thank you.
Kim McGill, followed by Anthony Robles, followed by Diego.
Can we get a copy of that map? Can you leave a copy with us?
Good morning, Kim McGill from the Youth Justice Coalition. I want to echo what Ellie said and thank you for working with us to put forward the Family Bill of Rights. There are some things we want to urge you to fight for in these last remaining weeks before it's passed by the Board of Supervisors. First, that there be compensation for families for burial expenses. Second, that any medical expenses are erased. One example of that, when Jonathan Cuevas was killed in 2010 by the sheriffs and was taken to the hospital, pretty much pronounced dead immediately, his family got an $85,000 hospital bill and had to work for years to try to erase that. Third, that we make sure that the Sheriff's Department, while obviously they have some information that families need access to, that they do not run the program and don't have a significant role in decision making. And finally, that any decisions regarding what families get access to in terms of information, as well as the staff that families work with, have no ties to law enforcement. These are demands that came directly from family members. The Bill of Rights was written by family members whose loved ones have been killed. The other thing we want to urge you to do is to look at passing a resolution and testifying in support of 392. When you look at what happened in the most recent shootings in LA County, many of them are out of compliance with not only common sense standards, but the constitutional standard at the United States, level of the United States, that would declare those shootings unconstitutional. But because our standard was created in 1872 and is the lowest standard in the nation, at a time when LA County had the highest lynching rate in the nation, the Chinese massacre that happened a year before is still the highest mass lynching in US history, and 90% of our native population was being wiped out, primarily at the hands of law enforcement and vigilantes. That was when our use of force standard was established. It's shameful that that's still our use of force standard. Finally, yesterday, the Board of Supervisors passed a $30 million pass-through to begin construction on a jail plan that the community had already demanded and won the crushing of. So we're wondering why that was allowed to go through without any comments from the Community Oversight Commission. It's essential that you play a leadership role in crushing the jail plan, stand with the community, which is your role, and make sure that what we have is treatment facilities in our communities close to home and not massive jail expansion.
Thank you, Ms. McGill.
Anthony Robles, followed by Diego, followed by Mateo Nagasi.
Good morning, Oversight Commissioner. It's Anthony Robles with the Youth Justice Coalition, and Diego. So basically, I just want to thank you all for helping us, working with us for the resolution on the Family Bill of Rights. We look forward to working with you and the board about keeping this out of the Sheriff's Department, employing family rights advocates, actual family members, and what Kim said, eliminating hospital bills, finding funding to cover burial costs, and then secondly, about the jail expansion, I would urge that the COC write a resolution denouncing the board's decision yesterday to give the $30 million to McCarthy to design a jail that almost certainly won't be built. The board doesn't know what it's going to do around this whole jail fight until the ATI reports come out, and that's not going to come out to the end of the year. We don't know what's going to happen. We have our demands to build community infrastructure for community wellness, mental health, youth development, those kind of things. And if the county can just throw $30 million to a company to design a jail that won't be built and just waste money like that, why can't they put that into funding the burial costs for families who've lost people to police violence, to sheriff violence? Why can't they put that in youth development? Why can't they put that in the mental health treatment centers that we desperately need, into affordable housing? So that's all I have to say. Thank you. And then, Diego wanted to say something, I think.
No jail's no ice.
Say louder. He said no jails, no ice, and no police violence.
Thank you, Diego.
Mateo Nagasi, followed by Eunices Hernandez, followed by Yvette Ale.
Hi, my name is Mateo Legassi with Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. Just wanted to talk a little history. I don't know if all of you are familiar with the Negro Act of 1740. That was an act that gave permission to kill black people. In 1872, the current use of standard for police violence was instituted. So if you go to the Negro Act from 1740 to freeing the enslaved in 1863 to 1872, right? It's a pattern. We all know that from the history of this country and this city that black people are the target. Ryan Twyman, I mean, I can't get that picture out of my head, that stands with the fire coming out of it. It was like a video game. And coming from an AR-15 in a carport, you know, you roll into a carport unannounced with weapons blazing. That's a community. It's not just a carport, it's a community. There are babies playing, there are kids playing, there are mothers, fathers, grandmothers. There are people living there. And it became like a war zone. And I don't understand why these people aren't fired immediately. We have to demilitarize law enforcement and end the combat training. There needs to be an ad hoc study on the use of military weapons provided by the Pentagon and how often they are used, any misconduct by the people who are using them. And you can do this on a county and a city level.
Thank you very much. And just before the next speaker comes up, again, I would ask everyone to respect the speaker and not interject comments when folks are talking. Thank you.
Eunices Hernandez, followed by Yvette Ale, followed by Hamid Khan.
Hello, good morning. My name is Eunices Hernandez. I'm the LA Campaign Coordinator for Just Leadership USA, a national organization working to cut the incarcerated population by half in 2030, and a member of the Justice LA Coalition. I'm here today because yesterday at the BOS, the board approved $30 million to go to the construction company McCarthy just to design this jail that they're talking about. In February, we were told that this facility would be a mental health treatment center. The name changed, but none of the specs on the actual contract have changed. What we've heard from the CEO's office is that it'll be 2,400 new jail beds on the land and the footprint of MCJ. But we know that there's no effort that's been implemented around pretrial. Even if you cut the pretrial population by a third or half, that already covers the 2,400 new jail beds. The ODR, Office of Diversion and Reentry, has said that they can divert about 2,500 people. Again, that's the 2,400 beds that they intend to build. So we're here because we're urging you to step up and have some accountability in this piece and in this area, and really hold the system actors accountable. We've heard Sheriff Villanueva advocating for a reduction in the criminal justice size. He said it at the Shake Up Reentry Conference. He said it in the media several times. But yesterday it came out that he's working with the CEO's office to figure out what an accurate or what an appropriate bed count will be. And we know that whatever number comes out is really putting the cart before the horse, because there are 9 studies that the board has passed motions around to get some studies around the jail population, reentry, and a whole bunch of other things in this particular area. And none of those studies have been finished or completed, so we don't even know who's in the jails. There's no efforts that have been done at the county level by the Sheriff's Department to identify people in our LA County jails who are under AB 109 and who benefit from sentencing reforms that have happened at the state level that have repealed sentence enhancement. For example, for drug offenses, which is a 3-year enhancement, that we know a lot of the people who are in their AB 109 have that. So if you could look into all those pieces, I'd greatly appreciate it. And this jail, the 2,400 beds, won't be built for me. It'll take them 10 years. It's going to be built for my godson and kids that are like him right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yvette Ale, followed by Hamid Khan, followed by Jonathan Jasper.
Good morning, my name is Yvette Ale. I'm with Californians United for a Responsible Budget and the Justice LA Coalition. I'm here to speak on the motion that the Board of Supervisors approved yesterday that Onises was just alluding to. So violence occurs in our communities in really insidious ways, in very overt ways, like the killings of Black and brown people on our streets, but also in insidious ways, like diverting millions of dollars to the sheriffs, like diverting millions of dollars to jail construction that can be used immediately for housing, for health care, for the safety of our communities, for the things that actually keep us safe, not jails, not cops. The things that actually keep us safe is having the resources to be able to live sustainably in our communities. And so when the Board of Supervisors is allocating millions of dollars for a design build for a jail that we will make sure does not get built, those are $30 million that can be used immediately to help solve the housing crisis. In fact, the CEO had already set aside nearly $1 billion in general funds for this jail. Nearly $1 billion the county has been sitting on for years that could have been used. How many lives could have been saved if those billions of dollars were already spent in our communities? There's a cost to inaction. There is a complicity in inaction when the Board of Supervisors, when the Commission has not weighed in on the jail plan or on the ATI report. It was surprising to hear that this commission was not briefed on the Alternatives to Incarceration work group that was formed by the county. It's absolutely absurd that county departments are not talking to each other and knowing what is in motion, because it directly informs what's happening in this room. When money is not diverted to our communities, that means that folks in our communities are susceptible to violence. So it is your responsibility to weigh in now. Thank you.
Hamid Khan, followed by Jonathan Jasper, followed by Akili.
Last year, the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition released a report which was titled Before the Bullet Hits the Body. And it listed and details the conditions on the ground that the LAPD programs and tactics have been created that give them extrajudicial power to assassinate people. We identified people like Keith Bursey, we identified people like Richard Risher, we identified people like Jesse Romero, who were murdered by the LAPD in these laser zones. So this is about predictive policing. That report then triggered and forced the city to hold the first ever data-driven policing public hearings ever in the nation, which then forced the Inspector General to do an audit of the predictive policing programs. That was a scathing audit that exposed all the malfeasance that is happening as a result of these programs. So we've come here before, we've talked about it, because what is happening is that now we are talking after the tragedy has happened, after the murders by the state have happened. But we have to look into the conditions on the ground that these programs create. We talked about the See Something, Say Something program, the Tips and Lead program that the Sheriff Department has. See Something, Say Something leads to do something. We know what happens. Just an audit came out of the See Something, Say Something program, suspicious activity reporting of the LAPD. It showed over 84% of these calls are coming predominantly from white neighborhoods, from the West Side, from the Valley Bureau. So what you're doing is that you're creating these tactics without investigating them, which are being weaponized by people, which are being weaponized by these murderers in uniform that use them with impunity, because you're creating extrajudicial conditions on the ground as well. So it's really, really crucial that we need to seriously investigate and expose these programs. Otherwise, you're going to continue having these murders on your hand, and the families will have to suffer. And I know that YJC has been leading the cause for the Family Bill of Rights, but how many Bill of Rights are we going to talk about? How many Bill of Rights are we going to talk about? So stop this madness and stop these programs. Thank you.
Jonathan Jasper, followed by Akili, followed by James Nelson.
I'm here on behalf of my brother, Anthony Weber, and the black members of my community. I'm out of the Century Division, and we're tired of our constitutional rights being violated at every traffic stop. We're tired of having to put our hands up at gunpoint for no reason, and we want to have justice for Anthony Weber. And we don't know if this is a gang initiation of all the killings of the black members of our community. We know that you guys have a gang called the Banditos in your division, and we're tired of our people being killed. You know, we don't know if you guys are having war on us, and we're tired of it. This is the stand. This is our call right now. Stop it or we will retaliate. Thank you.
Akili, followed by James Nelson, followed by Reggie.
My name's Akili. I'm with Black Lives Matters LA. And we call for no more John Hortons, no more Anthony Webbers, no more Ryan Twyman. And we can begin to stop that. And many of you were at the community meeting last night. That meeting was called specifically to make sure that the families had an opportunity to share. Because too often our families are forced to grieve by themselves, are forced to grieve but don't have answers, are forced to grieve in isolation. At least last night they had that opportunity. Many of us fought hard for this commission. Many of us fought many years for this commission. It doesn't have all the power we want. We wanted in the beginning, but we are fighting to get to the power now. But there's a lot that you can do on your own. First, you can call for the names of the officers that killed, that murdered Ryan Twyman. You can do that now. You can call for and conduct an independent investigation because none of us in this room trust any of these sheriffs. You can do that. You can do that. You can at least strengthen the Family Bill of Rights. Bills of rights that don't have real resources connected to them are no more than words on paper. Those are things that this commission can do. Those are things that you can do. Those are things that can be done. And more importantly, some effort needs to be made to demonstrate to families that their interests, their concerns, and their conditions matter to more than just one or two of us. They should matter as much to you because you were appointed in their name. Thank you.
James Nelson, followed by Reggie, followed by Nick Schaus.
Good morning. My name is James Nelson, formerly incarcerated. I'm part of Dignity and Power now. I'm coming just to speak in behalf of individuals that can no longer speak for themselves. I'm here to speak for the family members that we work with at DPN, that family members been murdered in the county jail. You know, these murders was documented as suicides, but I never know that a family to be compensated after a suicide. So that tell you that it wasn't honesty going on with these cases, because why would the city pay or the county pay any family member if their family member actually killed themselves? Yesterday at the BOS, the CEO, Sasha, she came out with a whole lot of uninformed information that she shared with the commissions yesterday. And it's just like, it's a lot of lies going on, it's a lot of trickery going on, and we keep coming here meeting and talking and talking and talking. I'm personally getting tired of it, you know. I'm a former gang member. I had to turn my ways around. After going to prison, being sentenced for a life sentence, doing 29 years, I still had to not be bitter because I'm mad, because I'm there for something I didn't do, but I had to make myself a better person. But I come home now, it ain't the gang members in the hood no more, it's the goddamn police now. You know what I'm saying? And watch this. In the gang lifestyle, violence recognizes violence, you know? And right now, the sheriffs, they the gang members. They're the gang members. Too many people came up here to say that we don't fear our community, we fear the sheriffs. We fear the LAPD. Jackie Lacey ain't did nothing. All these murders taking places. It got stopped. We keep seeing this, man. It keep going. Hey, it's gonna be a revolutionary. That's what's gonna happen, man. I'm serious. We come here, we talking, we trying to go about this the diplomatic way, but all the time, while we sitting here talking about it, the sheriff is still out here gangbanging. They're in the county jail gangbanging. I was in the sheriff's in county jail in '86. You know, they call flashlight therapy. You know, they whoop your ass with the flashlight. One of my neighbors got killed in '86 in the county jail just because he was out of cell roaming. They handcuffed that man, pushed him down the escalator, and told his family that's how he died. But he had homeboys here to let his family know what really happened to him.
Reggie, followed by Nick Schaus, followed by Sahara White.
Good morning.
Earlier this year in January, this commission passed a resolution to reject the Mariloma Detention Center. And I think it's important to name some of the language you all use in your resolution. You all said that the potential loss of $100 million in funding for the project is significant. However, if the county's goal is to develop a truly progressive and rehabilitative correction system, then such a sacrifice is warranted, as efforts should be made to redirect said funding to greater diversion, educational, mental health, and rehabilitative programming. Thank you. And I think it's really important to understand that the Sheriff's Department is running contrary to what you all are trying to do, and trying to be very inconsistent with the progressive ends that you are trying to meet. So I think the time is to bulk up, stand these folks up, shake everything out of their pockets, and see all the ways they are trying to undermine all the efforts the community is trying to make in this community. Number one, they are openly working with, that was exposed yesterday, they are working openly with the CEO's office to undermine everything that you all are trying to do. Shut that down. Number two, these families. Ryan Twyman, murdered. He was murdered 34 times. Let's make that clear. He was murdered 34 times. And the question I have for the COC is, why aren't you asking questions around what you can do for these families today? Because the Sheriff's Department is here. They're not giving them no types of answers. What can the COC do today to ask what's being done with those police officers who murdered him 34 times?
Thank you very much.
Nick Schaus, followed by Sahara White, followed by Clint Blakely.
Hello? Hey, I just want to say something. There are sheriff gang members. They're called the Jump Out Boys, Regulators, Vikings, Bandits, and there's about 4 other. I don't want to waste time talking about it because it makes me sick. So check this out. I'm a white boy from Long Beach that used to get beat down because I hung around with blacks and browns, because my mom came here from Cincinnati, Ohio in 1978, and then I had to live in the Carmelitos projects, and I had to live with blacks and browns, and it was pretty tough on me. But those are my people. That's who I hang out around with today. And check this out. I ain't an anti-cop. I ain't an anti-sheriff. I'm anti-brutality, and they're killing us in the streets. They're killing us. Now, I got a partially torn MCL, and it's called flashlight therapy. And what they used to do is the sheriff's lights, the flashlights wouldn't even work. They would put metal in them and beat the shit out of us. That's called flashlight therapy. And what else? No more money for new jails. Let's fix the ones we have. Like, let's put more cameras in there so they don't keep beating our ass with well, they don't do it with flashlights, but I was beat before because I didn't have my hands in my pocket during going to chow. You know, look at you guys now. You guys are minorities. You're sheriffs. You're minorities. You know, I haven't been to jail since 2002. You know, and we're still hearing about killings and beatings in the county jail. It's a trend. It's like you know, it's a gang. Whenever you guys, sheriffs or police or whoever are involved in anything that's a crime, they should be convicted like we do on gang enhancements. You know what I mean? Instead of getting a little, Tanaka and Baca, little bullshit jail sentence, they should get 20, 30 years for being in a gang. That's what they should do. All right, that's enough for me. I might be back a little later. I got some more stuff to talk about.
Sahara White, followed by Clint Blakely.
Good afternoon. My name is Sahara White. Forgive me if I'm emotional. I tend to have my thoughts together, and then as soon as I get up here, my trauma kicks in, and it's just all fresh again. I lost Quentin Thomas, my partner, in 2018, March 9th last year. His year anniversary just passed, and I really don't know what's going on. Justice for Quentin Thomas, because he was an amazing man. Last night, I went to the gathering for Ryan Twyman, and I just can't believe that the police executed that man like that. He was a father as well. He had kids. His kids have to grow up without him now. If that was a black man or a Mexican man, or you don't even have to put color in it. If it was just another man without a badge on who executed that man like that, he would be in jail right now. Just because you have a badge does not make you untouchable. It does not make you God. You are still a human, and you still need to be tried. You did wrong. That man is gone. You took somebody's life because you feel like you have the right to it. You do not. His family said that those police were on paid leave. Paid leave, where they have to raise the money to bury their brother. Fuck the police. That paid leave money should be used so they can bury him. Do right.
Our final speaker, Clint Blakely.
Good morning. So this is my first Sheriff Oversight meeting. And just like the LA Police Commission meetings, I came here to talk about one specific issue, but which would be disgusting enough to justify an entire meeting. But I hear people speaking out against issues that I didn't even know about that should also have their own meetings. I mean, $30 million for a prison? $30 million. Look at all the children in this room. I just want to take a second to acknowledge the bravery of all you kids out here for coming up to this podium to speak out against the injustice that's going on right here. I love you guys. We will not let you sentence these children right now by building a prison. We will not allow it. But what I really came here to speak about was Ryan Twyman. He was a 24-year-old man. He was my age. Shot 34 times. Under what circumstances would it be necessary to shoot someone 34 times? We're talking about a war zone here. 34 times. How are these deputies who did this still patrolling, still driving their cars, still walking these streets, going to Starbucks, getting a sandwich from the deli? There's no circumstances in which these sheriffs should still be working for the sheriff's department, these deputies. It's absolutely unspeakable. We want justice for Ryan Twyman and for all the other folks who have been murdered at the hands of the sheriff's department.
Greg Allen.
Hi, my name's Greg Allen. Thank you for listening to me today. I'm very impressed with so much emotion that everybody's brought here today because they lost their loved ones at the hands of the sheriffs. And you have my sincere condolences, all the families that lost somebody. It's a tragedy, and it will live with you all your lives. And if you're here for the first time today, let your grief motivate you to come back and do more, because this is where change can happen. Change to you already happened. Come here and help me stop the change from happening to the wrong people. Our sheriff is a progressive sheriff. He's allowing undocumented criminals to come out onto our streets after they're done with their crimes, serving their time, instead of deporting them. He should deport them. Why are you allowing them to come onto our streets and causing more grief to America's families? America's families are feeling this grief that you feel today of these people with all this emotion. We're going to come, please, Patty, I want my time reinforced. I got interrupted and I lost my spot.
Please, keep going, Graham.
Well, give me back my time.
Okay, not a problem.
All right, so basically, the grief.
Hold on.
Everyone's been coming to you, but he speaks for more? No, that's ridiculous. You're out of line. You're out of line.
We're not starting until you're quiet.
Why don't you get her out of here? That's what
You know
what?
what?
Just kick her out. Get control, Patty. You're losing control, and this is what you get. When you don't have control, this is what you get.
Come on.
Decorum.
You know what? This is not. Okay, I'm speaking now. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to speak. But if you comment and you make all these remarks, it interferes with the person able to speak and for the rest of the people who are here to listen to do that. You know what? You're not that effective by doing this. Please continue, Greg. Please continue.
I don't have a speaker. Can I talk?
Turn on the speaker. There you go.
Okay, so basically the grief I'm trying to save families from comes from your sheriffs that allow documented criminals on our streets to kill our families, our loved ones, our children, our brothers, and our sisters. Now the sheriff's got this idea that this is good for putting people on the streets. Come back and help me fight the sheriff. Help me fight the sheriff from his progressive. Patty, you need to do something. Call the sheriff. Call the sheriff, Patty. I won't go until the sheriff comes and gets them out of here.
Greg, you have 30 more seconds. We've extended.
Okay, basically, if I hear somebody talk, I'm going to stop talking.
All right, we're adjourning the meeting. We're going to take a 10-minute break. Then we'll come back and hopefully you'll listen to each other.
Then give